So how do we get absolutely clear about what we want so that we get absolutely clear, get like clarity with what we want? In other words, how do we just get what we actually want instead of being fuzzy? So many of us, I do a lot of coaching, and I'll ask people, what is it you want? And they'll say things like, I want financial security, or I want to be confident. Or they'll say, I want to retire my spouse. Or they'll say, I want to believe in myself. I want to be more productive. I want to be more confident. These things, these concepts, what we're talking about here, these are fuzzy, like they are fuzzy goals. And the more fuzzy we are with the goals that we want, the more fuzzy we get with the actual results. Like, for example, if you say to yourself, I want to be more confident, and you have no idea what that even means, then how are you supposed to do what you need to do in order to feel and believe that you're confident, right? So what I want to share with you in this video is how to be more clear about what you want so that the execution, right, of what you want becomes more clear. So here, for those of you, I got 3 or 4 of you watching right now live. What I want you to tell me is either a goal that you have or somebody you've heard tell you is their goal that you feel is totally like fuzzy, like it's like vague, it's foofy. You know what I mean? But the most common one I get is, Eddie, I just want to be confident, or I want financial stability, or I want financial freedom. These are really fuzzy. And so if you're watching this live right now, give me one that you've either heard someone say or you yourself have. Either way, I'll assume it's one or the other, right? And what I'll do is I'll help you understand how to get more clarity. Because if you start with fuzzy, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with starting with fuzzy. If you start with fuzzy goals, then it just takes someone like me or someone who knows what they're doing to ask you the right questions to get clear. Okay, we're back. All right. So I want to leave a legacy, right? That is massively fuzzy. So then you get to ask them, and this is a question you get to ask them, is you get to say, okay, give me an example of what legacy looks like, right? And I'm going to give you all another tip about video cameras. I'm going to have you use a video camera analogy in just a second. But this is a great question to ask them, Sutif. Give me an example of what you feel legacy looks like. Show me what it looks like. So I want to have a good job. So what I would do with this person is like, all right, cool. Tell me, because it's super fuzzy, right? We need some more clarity. Give me an example of a job you've ever had in your life that you considered good. And then what I want you to tell me is that if I had a video camera following you, watching you, right? And doing the things that you believe is like moments of you like saying, this is a good job, what would the video camera see, right? So Rachel also says, I want to get out of town and raise my kids in the country. Okay, cool. This is also fuzzy, right? What is the country? What country do you have in mind, right? And I know you mean, you probably mean the United States. I'm just guessing, but see what I mean? I have to guess. Like where in the country would this country be located? Be more specific. Don't get fuzzy. You see, because if you don't know where where in the country is, then you don't know how much it would cost to get there. You don't know how much it would take to live there. And that's why it's fuzzy, and that's why we're not going to get it, because we don't know what it is. This is what happens if we're not specific, then we're not going to see the path to get what we want. Like, for example, if I say, oh, I want a car. Well, then, that's such a high range. But if you say, I want a Jeep, and this is what always happens. If you suddenly decide, I want a Jeep. I want a red Jeep. I want a red Jeep with this particular thing on it, right? And the more specific you get about what you want, and here's proof, all of a sudden you just start seeing red Jeeps everywhere. Have you ever had that, where you say you want something and all of a sudden you see it everywhere, right? There's my son creeping in the background. Hold on. Hi there.
I'm here to pick up some books.
Oh, right there.
Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
All right, so this is the important piece of this. The more detailed you are about what you want, the more you will see opportunity to get it. Do you understand? This is why it's extremely important to be crystal clear about the details of what you want. so that the details of how to get it will suddenly start to appear, right? This is, to me, the best way to explain manifesting. Like if you want to manifest 100 acres in Ontario, then get detailed. How much is that going to cost? Where? What exactly? What location in Ontario? Have you gone out and looked for it? Have you gone out and driven to it? Have you stood in it and been in that space so detailed that you could taste it? And the more detailed you are about these things, the more the path to creating it becomes clear. Okay, I want you to, and I love to use the video camera analogy all the time. Imagine a video camera is following you, and you are getting paid to do something that you consider would be like something that would be really good, that you would spend your time doing. What would the video camera record? And this is something I ask people that I work with privately or in groups, right? And I'll let you all go, to help people get less fuzzy. I also want to get clear about how people want to get the things they want. So, for example, I always ask 4 questions when anybody wants to work with me privately. And by the way, once you know what you want, then you have to deal with fears and hesitations. So once you're crystal clear about what you want, you have to deal with fears and hesitations. It's the 4 questions I ask everybody when they work with me privately, so we get less and less fuzzy, is, number 1, what do you want? And this is the hardest question for people to answer. So I ask them what they want, and there's always a lot of fuzziness in that answer, always. But this is where I get to show them, say, look at all this fuzziness, right? Let's get clearer so we can ask lots of questions. The second question I always ask is, why does that matter to you? Why do you care if you get that? Because I got to know that you are emotionally invested in getting that. I don't mean emotionally invested in the outcome. What I mean is you freaking care about what it is you want. Too many people will tell me things like, I want to make more money, or I want to have more time freedom, but they don't really care so much that they're willing to make sacrifices for it. So that's the second question. The third question I always ask is, what happens if you never do, and this is important that you do this, I always ask, what happens if you never do what you need to do to get what you want? What happens next? And the way people answer that question will let me know how urgent they are. For example, if someone tells me, if I ask them this question, what happens if you never do what you need to do to get what you want? And the answer is always, and the answer back to me is, well, I'll just keep trying. I know they're not urgent. And the reason I know they're not urgent is because they're not willing to make an adjustment when they answer the question that way. So I always ask, what if you never do what you need to do to get what you want? There's always a consequence. When you are clear about the consequence of what happens when you don't do what you need to do to get what you want, then you're willing to do the work. And then finally, the last question. If I had a video camera videotaping you get this goal, what are the things that you would love this video camera to film you doing? And then that's when they start telling me, I want to do Facebook Lives, or I want to do coaching, or I want to do network marketing, or I want to do internet marketing, or I want to, I want to hire people, whatever. They basically tell me, what is our plan going to be for them to get what they want? And then once I have the answers to those 4 questions, we go to work. So I hope that helped you get more clear, help other people get more clear. If you have any questions, of course, DM me.